Nevada Virtual Academy. Juniors, seniors, welcome back. Geometry. Which measure is closest to the perimeter of an equilateral triangle with an area of 24 square feet? You have four options. Which one could be? Well, let's start with what's given to us, right? And the first fact is that we're dealing with an equilateral triangle with an area of 24 square feet. Now this is very important, equilateral triangle. What do you guys remember about this type of triangle? Okay. Main characteristics are what? All its sides are congruent. More than that, all of its angles are congruent, right? And more than that, I know that each one of them better be 60 degrees, because if not, will not be a triangle. How do I know that? Well, all the angles in any triangle add up to 180 because they're congruent. I got 3 of them, they have the same measurement. You just divide 180 by 3 and you get 60. Okay? Well, the second fact here, or part of the most important information, is that its area is 24, right? 24 square unit feet. Yards, I really don't care about it because that's not relevant for the question of the problem. And as you can see, all your answers are given into feet, so obviously you're dealing with feet as a unit. Not very important in this case. Well, before you try to solve this problem, guys, you have to remember how can you find the area of a triangle. And if you don't remember that, you should check at the beginning of your proficiency exam booklet, second page I believe, where all the formulas are given, and you will find out that the area of a triangle is actually base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 of your product of the product of your base and height. Okay? So what is the height? Well, the height is the perpendicular from any one of your vertices to the opposite side, okay, which will be the base, which in this case, let's call it A, and because we have an equilateral triangle, all its other sides will be A, and because we're looking for the perimeter, right, perimeter of this triangle, we'll have 3 sides together. So your perimeter is going to be nothing else but 3 times A. Okay. But we cannot find this because we don't know how long is this triangle's side. But we know its area. Well, looking at its area here, if this is the height and A is my base, right? How can I rewrite the area of this equilateral triangle? Well, I can write it as 1/2 base, which is A, times my height. Well, it's not going to help me too much unless I can find a relation between my base, my height, and my base and my height, right? Well, let's take, half of this equilateral triangle. Let's take it separately. This half right here, which is made by your height and the base that is intersected by your height. And what can you guys tell me about this side right here? How long is going to be that? Well, do you remember in an equilateral triangle, the altitude is also bisector of the opposite segment, which tells me that this segment here is going to be half of my side A. Okay? Good. Well, let's take the yellow triangle separately. What kind of right triangle is this yellow triangle in here? Can anybody tell me? Right, this is a special right triangle. And I know one angle is 60 degrees. This is definitely 90, and the smaller one is going to be 30 degrees. Right? What is the relation between your sides? Well, what I know in this type of triangle, 30, 60, 90, is that my hypotenuse, and in this case is the side of my triangle, is nothing else but 2 times the shorter sides, which is 1/2 of A, right? And in the same time, I know that this longer leg, in our case, the height of your triangle, is actually the shorter leg square root 3, right? So this height here will be 1/2 A, shorter leg, times square root 3, and if you want to write it, in a better way, this will be square root 3 over 2, I'm sorry, over 2 times A. Okay? Now I'm going back to my area, and I will substitute everything that is given. And I know that, well, it was here, right? That the base of my triangle is A. Okay? So I will plug that in. I will also know that the height of my triangle in terms of A is square root 3 over 2A. So let's plug them in. What do we get? Well, your area will be, the area of a triangle will be A, right? Equals 1/2 times your base, which we call it A, right? Times your height, which is square root 3 over 2 times A. Okay? Well, let's combine, let's switch here. Multiplication is commutative, so I can multiply 1/2 times square root 3 over 2, which will give me square root 3 over 4, and A times A will be A squared. Okay? What else I know? Well, I know from the facts that this area equals 24, so I will be able to write a new equation that says that square root 3 over 4 times A squared times my triangle side squared should equal 24. Okay? Well, first of all, because I want to find my A, I have to take the square root of everything in here, but after I'm finding what is A squared. But before that, I have to eliminate this coefficient of my A squared, and I will multiply everything by 4 over square root 3 times 4 over square root 3. Okay? Square root 3 is square root 3, 4 and 4 are canceling out. Your A squared, your side squared, will be equal to 24 times 4 over square root 3. But what I said, I don't like to have square roots as my denominator, so I'll multiply everything by square root 3 over square root 3, which gives you what? You have 24 times 4, and I'm not going to multiply that. I'm just going to leave it 24 times 4 times square root 3 over square root 3 times square root 3 is actually 3. And as you guys notice here, what I've done it this way is because 3 goes in 24 how many times? 8 times, right? And now your A squared, I'll write it here on the, okay, I'm going to go up here. Your A squared is actually A times 4, which is 32 times square root 3. Okay? And that tells you that, your A, your side, will be the square root of that, which is square root of 32 times square root 3, which, we can approximate it as what? 36. I'm finding, whatever closer perfect square to that I can find, and that's 36. So I know my side is square root 36, which is, because we have approximated, it looks like my side is actually approximately 6, because I need to find 3 times that, would be 3 times 6, and that is what? That will be 18, right? 3 times that, 3 times 8, 3 times that, 3 times this, would be approximately 18. And obviously, I have, a lot of approximations in here from that 32 times square root 3, and my number is definitely less than what the real value should be for the perimeter. But now I'm going to check among my possibilities. One of them is 6.4. That's definitely not good. The other one is 7.4. That's also not good. And now I have to choose between 22.3 and 27.7. Okay? Now each one of these are telling you that actually your side in this case was approximately 7, and in the other case here was approximately 9, right? And all you have to compare now is what is that 32 square root 3? Is that closest to 49, or is it closest closer to 81, which is your 9 squared? Okay, because probably a better approximation of 32 times square root 3 wouldn't be 36 but 49. You know, like I said, I did not the best approximation here, but you know, it works for my problem. And I will say that 27.7, basically 9, you know, being the side of your triangle side, is not a good answer. That's the wrong one, because 32 times square root 3, and you guys remember from the previous problems, square root 3 is actually less than 1.8 and is greater than 1.7, right? And because I have 32 of them, I can multiply everything by 32. Okay, so what you get is 32 times 1.7, which is less than 32 square root 3, which is less than 32 times 1.8. And as you can see, 32 times 2 is actually 64, right? 32 times 2 is 64. Okay, so it means that 1.8 times 32 is definitely less than 64, but is also greater than what? 32 times 1.7, and definitely will be something, you know, close to 49, and your side will be very close to 7, and that's why this is the good answer. And I hope it makes sense, and I hope you guys understood in which way you can solve similar problems in the future. All right? Back to the future. I will see you in the future. Thank you.